Well, every entrepreneur needs to know the capabilities and uses of artificial intelligence. It's equally important to understand its limitations. Recognizing where AI falls short is as critical as appreciating its strengths. This is particularly relevant today as the use of generative AI continues to expand rapidly. These tools are designed to produce content, text, images, and even code that are widely used in academic, business, and creative settings. Because students often need to produce content themselves, the appeal of these tools is obviously very strong. At times, they may appear to deliver remarkable results, but it's essential to remember that they're not free of error. There are two primary reasons for exercising caution when using AI. First, academic integrity. Policies vary, and students must always follow their professor's guidelines regarding AI use. Second, AI tools come with significant limitations that are very easy to overlook. Failing to understand these can lead to serious consequences in both academic and professional environments. So, this video is going to explore 5 key limitations of AI: hallucinations, obsolescence, the fact that it's a black box, deception, and dependency. So each of these limitations will be explained with examples and practical guidance for using AI responsibly. One of the most common limitations of generative AI is its tendency to produce false information known as hallucinations, which are incorrect or misleading results. These hallucinations are not intentional. Rather, they result from the way AI generates content. AI models are probabilistic. They don't know information in the human sense. They predict what content is most likely to be the best based on patterns in their training data, and they can be very wrong. Because AI systems and interfaces are designed to mimic the tone and structure of human writing and content generation, and because these systems often speak, so to speak, with confidence, hallucinations are often accepted by users as fact. For example, if you ask an AI app to generate citations for a research paper, it will provide realistic-looking references, complete with journal names, volume numbers, and page ranges. While some of those may refer to real articles, some might not actually exist. It's important to understand that these responses are simply the model's best guess based on the underlying algorithm. Remember, because these tools are a form of generative AI, they're not designed to retrieve information from the internet like a search engine would. Instead, they're designed to generate information. Sometimes these algorithms generate content that's consistent with fact, but oftentimes they do not. And the real danger lies in how convincingly these outputs are presented. Recognizing this limitation is essential to avoid being misled. The second limitation is obsolescence. AI models are only as good as the data they're trained on. So, once the model is trained, it'll inevitably lack awareness of future information unless it's connected to live data sources or given new data to train on. AI tools can't access or verify real-time information unless they're explicitly designed to do so. This limitation affects the relevance and accuracy of an AI app's responses, especially for topics that evolve quickly, such as current events, technology trends, or market conditions. Imagine that you're tasked with writing a paper that analyzes an industry. If you use an AI app that generates analysis based on outdated data, Your work may be factual, but incomplete and inaccurate, leading to poor work and a poor grade. In a professional context, the implications could be even more severe. Imagine an entrepreneur who relies on output from an AI tool that is trained on old data and uses this output to guide a business strategy. This could lead to costly mistakes, such as investing in in-person retail experiences when consumers have shifted to online shopping, and these could lead to the failure of the business. AI's inability to know what it doesn't know undermines the value of its output. Therefore, users should be wary of AI systems that rely on outdated and obsolete information. Another significant limitation of advanced AI systems is their lack of transparency. These tools often function as black boxes, meaning they produce outputs without offering clear insight into how those outputs were derived. While some AI platforms do attempt to explain their reasoning, these justifications are frequently superficial or after the fact. They rarely reflect the actual computational processes involved. And many of these systems are incredibly complex, with many, many layers in their neural networks and billions of nodes. As a result, users are left to evaluate the output without understanding the basis on which it was created. This creates a serious challenge in both academic and professional settings. For instance, you might ask an AI tool to analyze a business case to recommend a strategy. The model might suggest aggressive expansion accompanied by a well-reasoned explanation. However, asking the same question even slightly differently might yield a completely different strategy, such as conservative consolidation, with equally convincing logic. Without knowing how the AI tool arrived at either recommendation, you're left guessing. Was the first or second response more accurate? Or did the app simply shift direction based on subtle wording differences? Without visibility into how an AI app reached its conclusions, it becomes difficult to assess the validity of its recommendations. This opacity makes it difficult to know whether an AI-generated answer is right, wrong, or somewhere in between, posing a risk, obviously, for users who rely on these tools for decision-making. Unlike hallucinations, which are unintentional errors, AI can also be deliberately used to deceive. This happens when AI systems are intentionally trained to generate bias or misleading content, often to serve political, commercial, or ideological agendas. These tools can produce content that appears authentic but is entirely fabricated, such as deepfake videos, forged documents, impersonated audio, and more. When this type of content is used in academic settings, it can severely undermine credibility. For example, you might cite a compelling video as evidence in a classroom debate, only later to discover it was AI-generated misinformation. Outside of academia, deceptive uses of AI can have even greater consequences, spreading false narratives, damaging reputations, or manipulating public opinion. For example, in 2024, an employee at a British architecture and design firm approved a $25 million transaction after attending a deepfake video call with an AI-generated avatar he mistook for the company's CFO. These risks highlight the importance of verifying sources and maintaining a healthy skepticism, especially when content appears to be too convenient or aligns perfectly with one's viewpoint. The last limitation we're going to look at is dependency. AI tools are powerful, but over-reliance on them can weaken essential skills. This phenomenon, known as cognitive offloading, occurs when individuals depend on external tools to perform mental tasks they would otherwise complete themselves. Students who consistently use Gen AI for writing, analysis, or idea generation may gradually lose the ability to think critically, reason independently, or solve problems creatively. But these skills are essential for long-term success and can't be replaced by software. These skills make you unique and enable you to tackle problems in unconventional ways. AI tools can be a very dangerous shortcut. There are also practical risks associated with over-reliance on AI. AI platforms can change without warning, and this can disrupt workflows that rely too heavily on specific tools. Additionally, as AI detectors and digital literacy improve, inappropriate or excessive use becomes easier to spot by professors, employers, and peers. Clearly, using AI when you should not, or using it poorly, can have serious consequences. When someone sees that you've used AI when you shouldn't have, it's going to be natural for them to assume you are just using AI all the time. In a class, that could mean a lower grade, but in your professional life, it can seriously damage your reputation by undermining trust in your work. Despite AI's limitations, it remains a valuable tool when used thoughtfully and ethically. The key is not to accept AI blindly or to reject it outright, but rather to understand its strengths and weaknesses and use it to enhance, but not replace, human abilities. So here are 3 strategies for responsible AI use. First, be sure to verify all factual content. Always cross-check citations, statistics, and current events against reliable sources before including them in your work. As a Baruch student, you have free access to proprietary databases, newspapers, and articles located in our library. You could use those sources to verify the content produced by AI. Second, maintain a human-in-the-loop approach. If you use AI to generate ideas or drafts, be sure that you critically review, edit, and take ownership of the final product. We often talk in entrepreneurship about the need to get feedback. If you're using AI, that's more critical than ever. Third, continue developing your intellectual strengths and skills. Focus on building skills in critical thinking, creativity, and problem solving. These are areas where human capabilities still surpass AI. By combining the strengths of artificial intelligence with human insight and judgment, students and professionals can make the most of this powerful technology while avoiding the pitfalls of its limitations.